Hello, I'm Andrew Thomas Price. Welcome to my channel, and today I'd like to talk a little bit about my Bushcraft utility belt. Now, this is nothing fancy, it's just a belt that I've put together over many years of instructing, and it just means that all the equipment that I like to use day to day is close by, so I don't forget anything. So to start with, we'll talk about the belt itself, and this is a 2-inch wide full grain leather belt made by Jay Hyatt of Collerton in Devon. I was there when he made it, a real craftsman, and just a very good quality, simple leather belt. So that's the first thing. I think that's about a 4mm leather, so it's a really thick, solid leather belt with brass buckle. And that's all there is to say about that. The belt itself can be used to strop a knife, as well as holding all the equipment where you need it. And coming around to this side, we have my Lars Falt Bushcraft knife. And I really like this knife. It's quite a big knife, so it's not to everybody's taste, but it fits my hand really well. And I've been using this knife pretty much daily for at least the last 3 years. So it's become a part of my hand. It's a beautiful knife. And it has the wonderful curly birch handle here. It has Sleipner steel and a flat ground Scandi grind, which pretty much works for everything I need it to do. The leather sheath has the castrum dangler, which means that it's always there. And the great thing about this, if I get into my Land Rover or if I'm moving around, the knife doesn't sort of stick into me, it just kind of flops around. So that's a really useful addition. Not always there. I sometimes use the sheath without the dangler, but at the moment it seems to be permanently attached. Coming around a little bit more, this is a sheath I made myself just out of some saddle leather, and this holds my Barco Laplander saw. Now these have been around forever. People have been using these for a long time, and they've sort of lost a little bit of popularity in recent years, and other saws like Silkies have come in, but I really don't see anything wrong with the Barco Laplander. It's a very good saw. They last really well. They're very robust. I've never broken one. I've managed to bend a few, or other people have, but they generally don't break. They're very robust. Not too expensive. I think you can pick these up for around £25 now, and they last for quite a few years if you look after them. So this is a great saw. It cuts on the pull and on the push, which means that it's very useful for neat cuts if you're doing crafts, things like that. So that's always there. If I'm collecting firewood or cutting materials for any kind of craft project, that's the tool I go for. So I've got that on an extended dangler as well, which just keeps the knife and the saw right where I need them. Coming around a little bit further, I've got a little dangler with a brass hook here, and this holds a pair of surplus Swedish military leather gloves. Now these are probably twice as old as me, and they're still going strong. I think these were all made in the 1940s or 1950s. Very good quality leather gloves. A bit on the big side, but that doesn't matter because they're really just for taking hot things out of the fire, pulling brambles, any kind of job that you really don't want to do in your bare hands. And it just means that you've got your gloves there where you need them. So if I need to get a hot billy can off the fire or anything sharp, this is ready to go. And I've made a couple of little brass rings here just to hold these on my belt as well. And coming around this side, I have my utility pouch. This is a leather pouch made by Will Adams of Bushblade, and this holds all my bits and bobs, mostly fire lighting equipment. So it's got this stag antler button here, paracord holds it all together, and in here I keep a spare Opinel number 6, which is a nice small general purpose knife, because you can never have too many knives. Just be aware, because it has this locking ring here, this is not a UK legal carry knife, so you can't carry this as an everyday carry, but because I'm in the woods and I have permission to be here, I don't have any problems. So always handy to have a spare knife just for cutting bits of string or whatever. Always personalize my knives just in case someone walks off with them. As well as that, I have a Swedish fire steel or ferrocerium rod, which is suitable for lighting about up to 16,000 fires. So this is the Light My Fire Army version, which will last a very long time. And I have another piece of kitting here which I've had for many years. This is probably the first item of equipment I ever bought, and this is a long time ago, and I bought it from a company called High Adventure, which was on Wine Street in Swansea sometime in the late 1980s, and it was made by Markhill. And someone really needs to take this design and make it again, because nobody's making anything like it at the moment. So in here I keep some Strike Anywhere matches, as well as a very small ferrocerium rod. So I've got multiple fire lighting options just in here. And inside, so it's a double layer, I have a striker on the inside there, so that I can take the matches and strike them out of the wind. And then the whole thing goes together into here. It's got a rubber O-ring seal, so it's waterproof, and then everything stays together like that. So I've had this for at least 35 years, and it's become sort of almost like a lucky charm, really. I keep this in my kit for lighting fires. And then finally, and this is the bit that everyone is going to hate, I keep a couple of disposable lighters, because these cost something like £1 for 5. Very, very inexpensive, and it's always a means of lighting a fire very easily just by striking like that. So if I don't want to go through all the fuss of lighting a fire with a fire steel, I can just use that. I always like to think it's worth carrying at least 3 fire lighting methods at all time. I've got my Swedish fire steel or ferrocerium rod, I've got some Strike Anywhere matches, and I've got the lighter. So as well as the options of using the other tools to light a fire by friction, covers a lot of options. So I might keep some tinder in there or a few other things, but that's all I have today. Coming around a little bit further, this is a military surplus French ammunition pouch, and I believe this was for the MAS rifle, which was in service from the 1940s to the 1960s perhaps, not really sure. But inside here I keep my individual first aid kit, or IFAK, and this is just a very basic few items. So there's some nitrile gloves to protect me from any blood or bodily fluids. I also have a boo-boo kit, so this is just some antiseptic wipes and some plasters, so for very small cuts I'll just keep that in there. And then for anything bigger than that, I've got my Israeli trauma dressing. Now these are really well designed. They're designed to be used in multiple different ways to treat different types of wound, and they also have a tension bar which allows you to apply direct pressure onto large wounds to stop the bleeding. So worth keeping one of those with you at all times. This isn't my main first aid kit, this is just a kit I keep on me on my belt for the first time I cut myself or somebody else cuts themselves. I'll also have another first aid kit in my pack, and then an even bigger trauma kit in my Land Rover to cover just about anything that could happen. So this is my belt. There are many like it, but this one is mine. Now I'll be really interested in hearing what you keep in your utility belt. So please comment down below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell your friends if you enjoyed this video. And if you'd like to do one of my bushcraft courses, the link is down below. So that's all for now. Catch you next time.